overthrow Nicolas Maduro's Venezuelan government must not be ruled out for the country mired in economic and humanitarian crisis.
En cuanto a intervención militar para derrocar al régimen de Nicolás Maduro, creo que no debemos descartar ninguna opción, porque definitivamente, el régimen de Nicolás Maduro lo que está perpetrando en materia de crímenes de lesa humanidad contra su población, en violación de derechos humanos, en sufrimiento de la gente, en el éxodo inducido que está impulsando, hace que las acciones diplomáticas estén en primer lugar, pero no debamos descartar ninguna acción.
His comments follow a report in the New York Times that officials from U.S. President Donald Trump's administration met secretly with Venezuelan military officers to discuss plans to oust Maduro, but eventually decided not to help. Almagro, dubbed an interventionist by Maduro, said Caracas was committing crimes against humanity against its citizens. The OAS leader ended a 3-day visit to Colombia concerning the wave of migrants fleeing there from oil-rich but impoverished Venezuela. Venezuela is mired in a deep economic crisis that has triggered the departure of 1.6 million Venezuelans since 2015, according to the United Nations. Colombia has received more than 1 million of the migrants. Venezuelan Vice President Delcy Rodriguez has said her government complained to UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres that individual officials have been portraying a normal migratory flow as a humanitarian crisis to justify an intervention. Almagro urged the international community to not permit a dictatorship in Venezuela because it provokes regional instability in humanitarian and security terms, alongside the effects on Venezuelans. Almagro said that the Venezuelan people have paid a more than high price to recover their freedom, to recover their democracy, and have not yet recovered it. The international community has to definitely respond to this. In August 2017, media reports said Trump asked top advisors about the potential for a U.S. invasion of Venezuela. Around the same time, he said publicly that he would not rule out a military option to end the chaos there. The collapse of Venezuela's oil-based economy under the increasingly authoritarian Maduro has led to dire shortages of food and medicine. Maduro has angrily blamed the U.S. for many of his problems. Kulsum Nawaz, the wife of former Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, died of cancer in London as her husband remains locked up in jail in his home country following his fall from power. 68-year-old Nawaz, who was First Lady for Pakistan 3 times, was diagnosed with lymphoma in August last year and had been receiving treatment at a private hospital in London for months. Pakistani media reported that she had been put on life support in a ventilator earlier in the day.
It's a great loss to Pakistani nation and Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz that our leader's wife, Begum Kulsum Nawaz, has expired 3 days ago, and now the funeral arrangements are ready.
Sharif was ousted from the premiership a month before his wife's diagnosis. He and the couple's daughter, Maryam Nawaz, had left her in London and returned to Pakistan on July 13th this year in a bid to motivate support for the PMLN days before a general election. They were immediately jailed for corruption, with the party losing the July 25 vote to Imran Khan's Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf. Sharif had been banned from running but maintained his control over his eponymous party, and his return was seen as a failed gamble to save his political legacy. Conspiracy theories claiming that Nawaz was actually healthy and that the sheriffs were faking her illness to gain sympathy swirled in the final weeks of the acrimonious campaign. Nawaz had been at her husband's side throughout his decades-long political career, which saw him become Prime Minister of Pakistan 3 times while facing military coups, prison, and exile.
I think she was not on the forefront, but behind the scenes, behind the curtains, she had a great influence on Nawaz Sharif and her daughter Maryam Nawaz Sharif, and actually she wanted Maryam Nawaz to come and join politics. So I think her exit at this stage would be a great loss personally, emotionally, as well as politically for the party, but I think...
A zoo in Colombia is celebrating the birth of a baby spider monkey, a rare species in danger of extinction.
Esta especie está críticamente amenazada según la IUCN. Ellos están entre las 25 especies de primates más amenazadas del mundo. Se distribuye en la cuenca del río Magdalena en Colombia y en pequeños espacios en Venezuela.
Carolina Diaz, the Flora and Fauna Coordinator, said that the monkey was born at the Santa Fe Zoological Park in Colombia's second city, Medellin, but so far staff know little about it.
No sabemos aún si es macho o hembra y probablemente no sepamos hasta dentro de 2 o 3 meses, debido a que no queremos separar a la cría de la madre si no hay una necesidad médica para hacerlo.
The black-haired monkey weighs around 1 kilogram and is about 20 centimeters tall. It is the third such birth in the zoo since 2012. The Santa Fe Zoo now has 20 spider monkeys, although Diaz expects that number to rise as one male and several females amongst them are fertile.
Así como los humanos son primates, lo que quiere decir que tienen manos muy diestras, un cerebro bien desarrollado y conductas sociales complejas. Estos animales viven en grupos de 9 a 15 individuos.
Spider monkeys, whose natural habitat is tropical rainforests, are among the 25 most endangered primates in the world. The International Union for the Conservation of Nature says the species is in critical danger of extinction. Diaz blames that on the destruction of their habitat for livestock and agriculture, as well as hunting and illegal trafficking. In Colombia, the monkeys live on the banks of the Magdalena River, the largest in the country. It's been a time of many celebrations in the Santa Fe Zoo over the last few days, with the births of a squirrel monkey, 3 gray-crowned cranes, and 2 pygmy marmosets. Up next, belugas adopt wayward narwhal in Canadian waters. Xavier Dolan's English language debut at Toronto Film Festival. Yates holds Vuelta lead as Canadian Woods wins stage. Eagle News Canada will return in a moment.
The machine.
And I'm reporting here from Gainesville, Florida. Behind me is the Florida Museum of Natural History, home to a butterfly rainforest featuring hundreds of butterflies from across the world. Do you know another place that has sites from across the world? Well, check out Digital Nest on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. And I'm one with 25.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave some love by giving it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe here at ABC Digital Nest so you don't miss any of our upcoming features.
Ano ang tunay na kahulugan ng tagumpay kay James Blanco?
Tagumpay. Wala ka dapat tapakan na ibang tao.
Pag gumagawa ka ng mabuti, successful ka.
Yes.
Wow! Woo!
Ako po si James Blanco. Abangan niyo po ako ngayong Sabado sa RYTS Rule Yourself to Success. Dito lang sa Net 25. Kita-kits tayo.
Agila Balita, Lunes hanggang Biyernes, alas 7:30 hanggang alas 8 ng umaga.
Welcome back. You are watching Eagle News Canada. A lonely narwhal that strayed far from its Arctic habitat has apparently found a new family in a pod of belugas in Canada's St. Lawrence River, said a marine conservation group. The juvenile narwhal, identifiable from its tusk and gray spots, was filmed by marine biologists over the summer, swimming closely with about 10 white beluga whales. Their interactions, rolling and rubbing against each other near the water's surface and flashing their genitals, for example, suggested the narwhal has been fully accepted by the pod, said Robert Michaud, director of the nonprofit Group for Research and Education on Marine Mammals in Tadoussac, Quebec. Narwhal live in the Arctic waters of Canada, Norway, Greenland, and Russia, and don't normally range so far south, more than 1,000 kilometers. This one was first spotted in 2016 with the belugas and again in 2017. Video of the whale with its new family was finally captured when GREM researchers went out onto the water with a drone in July. While beluga and narwhal habitats overlap in parts of the Arctic and the animals are closely related, it is rare to see them interact with another. It is not unusual for young whales to wander. When unable to find their own kind, these very social creatures have been known to try to make friends with buoys or boats, at times risking fatal injuries from propellers. Michaud said it was lucky that this narwhal was taken in by the belugas, as other whales with wanderlust often end up in difficult situations. At this age, around 5 or 6 years old, young male belugas learn social graces and life skills from each other and form bonds with other males that will carry into adulthood, which narwhal are not known to do. Canadian filmmaker Xavier Dolan made his English language debut, premiering The Death and Life of John F. Donovan at the Toronto Film Festival. The much-anticipated film starring Susan Sarandon, Natalie Portman, and Kit Harington had been suddenly withdrawn from Cannes earlier this year, and concerns were raised about the production after he later cut Jessica Chastain's scenes. Reviews were mixed. On the red carpet in Toronto, Dolan did not speak to the media, leaving his cast to field questions in his stead.
He wasn't aiming to just have this big breakout first English movie role. It's just that the movie he was making had to be in English. It's about the entertainment industry, it's about Hollywood. And he wanted to work with some actors that didn't speak French as well. So, that leaves him with doing an English language movie.
The story unfolds with television heartthrob Donovan dying alone and unexpectedly after a series of scandals. Years later, fan Rupert Turner, who as a child had corresponded with Donovan, writes a memoir about his 5-year secret correspondence with him. Turner details the actor's troubled life, the compromises he made for fame, but also his tenderness and the generosity toward the boy. The film also stars Kathy Bates, Thandie Newton, Jacob Tremblay, and Ben Schnetzer, also at TIFF this year in The Grizzlies. The film's world premiere marks Dolan's first presentation at the Toronto Film Festival, where he also appears in the supporting role in the film Boy Erased, about a teen forced to undergo so-called gay conversion therapy. The 29-year-old filmmaking prodigy has a long history with Cannes, which screened most of his films and awarded him prizes for Mommy and It's Only the End of the World. But earlier this year, he yanked Donovan from the festival on the French Riviera, citing the need to continue editing it after 2 years toiling on his first foray into Hollywood directing. Notably, the first cut was nearly 4 hours long. Then, he triggered surprise by cutting Chastain's villain character from the movie, saying in February that it did not feel like it belonged to the rest of the story. A backlash ensued, but the director stressed that the decision was not reflective of Chastain's performance. Chastain also came to his defense, saying critics should inspire artists to evolve and grow. Bullying hobbles creativity. After Toronto, Dolan will return to his francophone roots for his next film, Matthias and Maxime. Britain's Simon Yates held on to his overall lead in the Tour of Spain as Canada's Michael Woods won the 17th stage on a foggy Basque Country summit packed all the way up with rowdy fans. On the cloud-shrouded final slopes, Yates lost 8 seconds to his nearest rival, Spanish veteran Alejandro Valverde, whose Movistar teammate, Nairo Quintana, was dropped on the final climbs, virtually ending his hopes for eventual victory. Yates' red jersey was protected all the way up the final climb by his brother Adam and 2 other Mitchelton Scott teammates. The 31-year-old Woods only began cycling seriously in his mid-20s and came 7th at La Vuelta last year before a second-place finish in the Liège Bastogne Liège this season. Overcome with emotion, Woods cried as he dedicated the win to his recently stillborn son. Woods was involved in an early escape group and edged out Dylan Toones of BMC on the ultra-steep final section, while Sky's David de la Cruz came 3rd. The day's biggest loser was Quintana, who now sits 2 minutes 11 seconds down on Yates. The closest challenger is a 38-year-old Valverde, who is 25 seconds back. Another Spaniard, Enric Mas of Quick Step, climbed to third, 1 minute 22 seconds behind the red jersey. Yates dismissed suggestions that this was now a two-man race. 2 further days of climbing remains, where the winner of this year's Vuelta will certainly be decided. Coming up, Kathleen Cruz takes us to Crankworx World Tour in Whistler, Canada. Eagle News Canada will return shortly.
Eagle News teams are fair.
Sa impeachment complaint laban kay Supreme Court Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno, ang ilang maestra...
Ang rekomendasyon na makasuhan ang mga sangkot kasama na ang mga opisyal ng customs.
Hardworking.
Special Action Force magpapaunlad ng isang bata na magiging isang future youth leaders.
Dedicated.
Sa nasawi ay dito natagpuan yung bangkay.
Ito yung kanilang paraan ng pag-aalaga ng mga may sakit na leprosy noong unang panahon.
Committed to public service.
Ang chairmanship ng ASEAN sa bansang Singapore.
Marami yung mga biktima ng mga nawawala.
Ang ng Bureau of Customs na nasa merkado na yung mga pinaging produkto.
Sa kapila ng mga kilos protesta na nanatiling
dahil sa mabilis na pagresponde ng mga pamatay-sunog, ang apoy mabilis na
nagkaroon ng equal opportunity ang ibang mga kababaihan
ng mga kabataan at ipinakita sa pamagitan ng kanilang mga likha.
Nanatiling kulang pa rin ang tubig para sa irigasyon, para sa pagtatanim ng ating mga kababayang magsasaka.
As we live in interesting times.
Magandang umaga, Ilocos! Nandito na ako! I'm back!
Mga tao na may gusto ng sports or activities.
Pupunta rin tayo sa Luna's house.
Kung anong gagawin ng mga tipid trip.
Agila Balita, Lunes hanggang Biyernes, alas 7:30 hanggang alas 8 ng umaga.
This is Eagle News Canada. I am Arnie Aquino. Tighten your helmets as Eagle News correspondent Kathleen Cruz takes us to the last stop of the 4 Crankworx World Tour. Take a look.
Crankworx World Tour returns to Whistler, Canada for its 15th year of Crankworx competition, a jaw-dropping and extraordinary event showcasing extreme mountain biking.
Crankworx is a 10-day action-packed festival showcasing high-flying tricks, adrenaline-pumping spins, and unreal stunts in the world of mountain biking. This sport is no joke as it requires years of training and dedication. Whistler was the last leg of the 4 Crankworx Tour series, which made stops in New Zealand, Austria, and France. Every year, over 300,000 spectators and fans watch the world-class mountain bike competition. Elite-level riders and newcomers alike have come from different parts of the world to compete in different events such as speed and style, enduro, numerous downhill events, giant dual slalom, ultimate pump track challenge, whip-off world championships, Canadian Open cross country, and Red Bull Joyride. But Crankworx is not just about competition, as there are also kids who join different downhill events. But the biggest highlight of the festival, the race to be the king and queen of Crankworx World Tour. Dubbed as the most difficult competition in mountain biking, points are tabulated from 30 men and 22 women events in the 4 aforementioned countries to win the exclusive royal title and $20,000 in prize money. Samuel Blenkinsop of New Zealand was crowned as the king of Crankworx and also named as the downhill champion. For the women's division, big star and frontrunner Jill Kintner of USA was hailed as a queen of crankworks.
Reporting from Whistler, Canada, for Eagle News, I am Kathleen Cruz. I am 1 with 25.
Thanks, Kathleen. That is this week's Eagle News Canada. Join us next week for stories that matter to you. Visit our websites at eaglenews.ph and eaglenewslive.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/eaglenewsph. Thank you for watching. I am Arnie Aquino. I am 1 with 25.